I
No,
as
can't.
I've written on the ticker, still a long way to go. Still a long way to go. Still a long way to go. It's my mantra. Like need to keep a lid on things a little bit, but
Well, I'll tell you what, on Sunday, the lid was definitely off for a bit.
were you singing we're going to win the league or
No, I didn't get quite that far. Definitely enjoying a bit of We Are Top of the League, but yeah, it was hard not to when the players came running over right at the end and were giving it the big one. You know, Richard Keys was pressing the 999 button to get that celebration police involved.
It did remind me. It did have echoes of when we actually did win the league there with Vieira and Perez, but
With his little inflatable trophy. I think again, we were the other end. We were in the away end, obviously the opposite end of the pitch, and we didn't know what had gone on with Ramsdale. So we assumed it was just handbags between the players. And of course, you know, there was such a determination to get the squad all went in, didn't they, and dragged people away that that coming down the other end was a proper release. And I'm sure it was also adrenaline because of the sort of sinister sort of vibe that was going on at that end. And it was just a release.
I mean, it was just a release. It was brilliant. If your name is Jim White and your business is clickbaiting, it was all Ramsdale's fault anyway. So have you seen it? Have you actually seen what happened?
Yeah, Jay from the In-Betweeners got a little bit carried away. He'd had one too many sherbet dips and was somehow allowed by the stewards to...
It's great. There's a Spurs fan filming him from behind, and it's brilliant to watch because you just get the full take on it. But it was Richarlison's fault. He stoked it up. Yeah, like I mean, he should. I can't believe he's not getting a charge. And I haven't heard any FA announcement or Premier League announcement on charging teams. The amount of teams I've seen crowd referees over the weekend's games, and we get done for having 4 players around the referee against Oxford.
You know what? Bring it on.
Yeah.
If you want to charge us and not anyone else, fine. If you want to blame our players and not anyone else's, fine. If you want to talk about our fans being over the top and not anyone else's, fine. Bring it on. Us versus the world. We're top. 8 points.
It's George Graham, and I do think. Do you remember? How old were you when we had points docked for a brawl at Old Trafford?
What was that? 89, 88?
No, we won the league, so it wasn't. So it might have been 88, 89. Yes, it might have been that season. Yes, of course. It would have been.
I mean, I would have been only 5, 6, so I don't remember.
No, it would have been. No, I didn't think we had. No, 89. We didn't have points docked. So it could have been 91. Could have been 91.
Yeah. I mean, I know all about it. I've read about it. Limpar gets involved. McLaren.
So I mean, listen. This is what I'm dreading about the weekend. The real rivalry is not Arsenal Spurs. It's Arsenal United for the last
91.
Yeah. It's Arsenal United. It dates back to a Brian McClare penalty at Highbury.
Yes,
where Winterburn got under his skin and he skied in an FA Cup match. He skied it over the bar.
What? And Winterburn, who we signed from Wimbledon, you know, who knows all about getting under people's skin.
Yeah, indeed. And McClare did, and then he gave it a bit of afters when he missed it as well. And I think, and that was where that particular hostility was born. But then but George Graham did the it's on the end of that season's DVD when they used to bring out a DVD for the season, or actually it wasn't a DVD, it was a VHS video. So and there's a speech after we get the points docked. George Graham gives the squad, and he said, and no better man qualified than the 1970-71 double winner. Like there are echoes of what's happening now about them against us. But absolutely. But funnily enough, on the pitch, our disciplinary record is fantastic this season. Like
this season.
Yeah, this season. Yeah. So we're getting retrospective charges, like somewhat bizarrely, and Saka doesn't get protection, and we get a few bloody dodgy VAR calls against us. But I guess if you spoke to any fan of any club, you might have similar stories. But,
yeah, especially as we're on the subject of United. I mean, City.
No, I mean that's like
Rashford's offside.
There's no argument to make in defence of that decision.
I've heard lots of people when I have a conversation with them, they say, "Oh yeah, well the offside law is ridiculous." All this. I'm like, no, hang on a minute. Like, okay, yeah, there's some grey areas and things need to be.
Not this one. Yeah.
But even if interfering with play is subjective, no, not this one.
No, there's no. How?
Oh, excuse me. That's my alarm going off.
How could a referee? Okay, fair enough. The linesman, fair. But how could an official looking at VAR, looking at that replay on the screen, not see that Rashford was interfering with play? I don't understand it at all. I mean, I didn't want United to win, and I didn't realise that until I was watching the game. I never know. I didn't want City to win. I wanted a draw because almost worse. Well, it is worse for me than going head-to-head with City is going head-to-head with United. Because if we come out second to City, I can live with that. If we come out second to United, oh my God. No, I can't even. I'm already dreading this game.
Where are you at in your weekly sort of cycle?
Because I'm dreading.
Are we still close enough to the Spurs victory from last weekend, or are we tipping over?
I mean, let's talk about the Spurs. It'll come as no surprise to you that I watched most of the first half, but I didn't watch any of the second half.
Really?
Because I was in the house on my own, and I was.
Did you not watch the second half for your own protection?
Oh God, I was over the place.
Never watch Arsenal when you're alone.
No, yes. Keep out of the kitchen and the drinks cabinet. It's it was just, and people, I was following it on Twitter, and lots of people were saying this second half has been going on for hours. And I've watched the second half since, and I'm so glad I didn't watch it live because there were moments there where you could sense a Spurs goal was just around the corner. Even though, Ramsdale played really well. I mean, I still think I understand why he got man of the match, but I still think our first half performance, our man of the match should have come from the first half performance. I'm not saying who that would be, but you got Erdegaard, you got Zinchenko, you got Saka, you got. It's like. But you were there. You were at the game, so you were there last year as well, or last season as well. Last year as well, actually. What's your takeaway from?
I mean, to describe the games, the one at the end of last season and this one as chalk and cheese would be like playing it down so much. It was unreal. The build up to it was just absolutely fantastic. The concourse was jumping for ages and ages, and everyone, there were new songs flying around, neither of which I can repeat on here. And just everyone was singing. The buoyancy was great. And weirdly, you spoke to fans before, and the explanation was exactly the same, or the prediction was exactly the same. It was like, well, on form we should beat them, but we never win away at theirs at the minute. Yeah. And that was it. It was just an acceptance that, Harry Kane will score. He'll equal Jimmy Greaves'
penalty. Yeah,
penalty. Tottenham Spurs will always get given a penalty, and it just didn't work. They didn't get near us in the first half.
No, it was men against boys, to coin a
The
phrase.
only thing that crept into our minds that was negative was that we do really need a second. And even when we had the second, it was like actually a third wouldn't reflect badly on us, but we could do with getting it.
Right. I want to remember that moment, because I feel quite churlish, but that third goal was kind of, I thought it was, and it would have killed the game.
Totally.
And Eddie should have scored it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
and he should have scored it. Well, not should, but he could have scored in the first minute as well.
Yeah.
And I know his game. I know he was excellent, and I know he scored 4 goals. Like his goal rate, his goal ratio is better than Jesus's in the run up to his injury and post World Cup comparison. And I get all that, and his link up play is good, and he's spiky character, Eddie, and he's quite strong as well. He's bulked up. You can see him and Saka have bulked up quite a bit in the last year or two. But I want him to finish one of those. But the third, that one in particular, he had 2 opportunities to score a third goal, really, and just like.
I think you are being a little bit churlish. I totally understand what you mean, because of all the chances we did have, of which there were many, those were the ones that that a striker like Nketiah you'd think relish. So I get that. However, I just wanted to. His overall play was majestic. There was a moment in the first half where he was chasing back in our corner and winning tackles and putting things out for a throw, and everyone was just fist pumping and just loving it. And then there's that takedown in the second half, where it's sort of over his shoulder. He takes the ball and in one move turns the Tottenham. I mean, it's just glorious. I mean, everyone was just like, "Wow, that is amazing."
You can see the influence of Jesus in his play, can't you?
It's just the confidence. There's such confidence. And Nketiah, I'm convinced he's one of those players who will be as good as the players that are around him. So with Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka, he can keep pace with them. That's fine. You put Pepe next to him, or I don't want to be too harsh on other players that are still sort of kicking about, because it is a squad game after all. But you drop that quality around him, and of course he's gonna,
and
what he's
and to kind of affirm that point. And people making comparison between Eddie and Ian Wright. I think more because of the natural instinct with their finishing, perhaps. He's described still as the best finisher at the club, Nketiah. And I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly, but I think Ian Wright was 28 when he signed for us.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Eddie's how old? 23? Is he 23? 22? 23?
Something like that.
So, I mean, if he's 22, Ian Wright was just about to turn professional, or had just turned professional, So I get it, but I can't help my my frustration at the time.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost us at all, and that's full credit to the team ethic, the teamwork. Like it was, thou shalt not pass kind of performance, and it wasn't panicked or anything like that. There was one little moment of about 30 seconds where the ball, I think it ended with a Richarlison shot that was saved quite comfortably by Ramsdale. But he didn't spill it, which is important. And there's quite a few chances he didn't spill either. But the save he made from Sessegnon was superb.
Oh, with the foot.
Yeah, he's got his toe to it, which is just like put it past the far post. That was, and I loved I love him laughing at Richarlison. That final goal kick, and Richarlison's giving it this. And Richarlison is just perfect for Spurs. 0 league goals.
Yes.
So far, refuses to shake the hand of his international teammate Martinelli.
Yeah.
Tries to antagonise interfere with the throw's been taken, and Tomiyasu steps in his way, and he's like brushing off. Really fancies himself as some kind of street fighter. And when Martinelli controlled the ball with his back, have you seen that? Oh, that's just brilliant. I mean, I'm sure that's what wound up Richarlison.
Yeah, but that's Richarlison, who was doing keepy uppies against Everton.
Yes, that's which is fine.
You know, clickbait. A track magnet, Jim White sort of said, "Oh, you know, you don't do that. You don't take the piss or whatever." And it's like, okay. Yeah. It's
all about enjoying the game.
There's something about Richarlison. I was having a conversation with someone, and I wish I could remember the player they said, but they were talking about, you know, the most sort of disliked player in the league for whatever someone who's universally kind of, you know, not liked because they might be a bit spiteful on the pitch or whatever. And
Fernandes.
I do wonder if do you know what, it might have been Fernandes they were talking about, but
that's where my mind goes straight
away. With Richarlison, actually, Richarlison's an easy character to sort of, you know, take against a little bit. I mean, Fernandes, yes, yeah.
Oh, he's dirty, cheating, snide. He's got a face you want to pummel. I can't. I mean, I'm saying this. I have
can't wait for Sunday.
Yeah, I have every confidence in his capacity to get under my skin on Sunday as well. Yeah, he would be that. But Richarlison, yeah. I mean, I must be honest. I'm not a fan of Harry Kane.
Oh God, no. Oh, I'm not being funny because again, I obviously saw everything sort of live, and although I've watched the highlights, it's these little niggles in the game where did he get booked?
Yes. He didn't. He didn't
get booked
because one booking would. No, he did. No, I think one booking. He was on 4 yellow cards, so he didn't because one booking would have taken him into a suspension against Man City. So I didn't want him to get booked.
Right. Well, what annoyed me? There was a challenge he made late on where it was like a pretty aggressive sort of aerial challenge, and I just think
Gabriel. It was he kind of that typical one where Gabriel's in the air and he then nudges him so he falls funny or falls awkwardly potentially.
I couldn't see how it wouldn't have been a yellow card. He didn't get booked. He didn't. There were 7 bookings in the game. He didn't get one, and he just constantly chipping off at the referee.
He is, yeah,
and just moaning. And I know all players do it to a certain extent, but he's front and center. And yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but he can do no wrong. He is.
What all that worried us in the second half when it started. There was a guy next to me, a friend of mine, who just kept saying, "Look, they're going to have a spell. Of course they are, and we've seen what they're like this season. So, but we can ride it out. We're good." And obviously that turned to pass. But you know, I think it was about 5 minutes had gone in the second half, and I turned to my friends and I said, "Whew, we've got 40 minutes left of this."
Yeah.
It was going really slowly, and they were clearly on the front foot. Everything good was going through that Kulusevski, who's looking more and more like a better buy. But what I was pleased with was, as good as he was doing, Kulusevski, Doherty was getting nothing out of Saka and Zinchenko on one side. Zinchenko won every aerial
header, against Kulusevski as well.
Against Doherty, who's his like opposite number, and it was just brilliant. And Son, I was convinced was going to use us as a springboard to reignite his season, and was absolutely absent and abject.
Yeah.
Kane obviously needed a little bit more service, was trying to force it. But what stuck out for me was Højbjerg. When Højbjerg plays well, I think Tottenham play well, but he was getting nothing. He was taking.
He doesn't have
the edge of the box.
Yeah, he didn't have these. He didn't have Bentancur with him.
Pardon? Sorry.
He didn't have his mate Bentancur with him.
No. I suppose that would make a difference.
And that made a difference. Yeah.
But
Romero was the one who was lucky not to get a red card. By the way, he was on a yellow and he put in a tackle. I can't remember on who, and it was a yellow card all day long. But the referee bottled it, and that was early on. That was like about 55, 56 minutes. And that was the only time I actually thought the referee handled it pretty well, to be fair.
Well, that's the thing. Considering how convinced we were all that Tottenham would get a penalty, there really wasn't any flashback. You know, the odd little thing, but nothing serious. I thought actually the game was played in the right spirit until Richarlison came.
Yes. What was the home atmosphere like?
I mean, it was all right to begin with, but I think, you know, we started so well that it really just dropped and never.
And the nature of our first goal would have sapped a bit of that enthusiasm as well, because
it was an absolute killer. You know, for them, we couldn't even really tell what had gone on until obviously it's already in and they're celebrating. But Eddie Nketiah smashes it into the net as a kind of like, you know, yes kind of moment, and that's it. We then erupted, and like Spurs fans just absolutely dropped. Yeah, there was nothing from them. They only rejuvenated in the second half when, you know, on the odd occasion Kulusevski would, you know, show a sort of flourish. The few shots that they had that Ramsdale obviously saved well too. Really flat.
What did you? How aware were you of Partey's shot?
I mean, we all just stood there like frozen when he hit it, and then it wrestles off the post. I've never seen a Premier League goal, one of these, you know, things that move so much. It was amazing, and if I could change one thing about the game, it would be that going in.
Yeah.
Because that was awesome.
That would have been like goal of the season there, or shot of the season, if not goal of the season. That's.
I don't think I'd have recovered. I still wouldn't be here now if that had gone in. And my voice is still a bit croaky after the weekend.
I mean, that was a ridiculous volley.
It was symptomatic of the start. We were just on the front foot. We were smothering them. And I know they were defending deep and defending their box and looking to hit us on the counter, but we gave them nothing. And Partey, I mentioned during the game that Partey's missed a couple of passes, but it didn't matter because we were so quick to like zoom in and hound Tottenham when they won the ball that they were either rushed into playing a pass that didn't find its mark or they lost the ball again. Because Xhaka was there, because Odegaard was there, because Gabriel stepped forward or Saliba stepped forward, and it was just brilliant. It was aggressive, but it was controlled aggression. No one lost it. Everyone was just fixated on having their job to do, and it was professional and it was elite. It was elite.
It was a mature performance from the youngest team, the youngest squad in the Premier League. Still,
who were top of the league, 8 points clear.
Yeah. I tell you what, we'll need it on Sunday. But
look,
no, well, I know. Look, you always need a bit of luck, for sure. But no, we'll need that composure and that, because the crowd are going to be right at it on Sunday.
Well, this is what I said after the game. Like everyone just wanted to. If we could have played Man United straight after, we would have done. You know, as a fan base, we were ready to go. It was brilliant. I'm so looking forward to Sunday.
I'm not.
I am. I'll tell you what then, when we're at the game, you can have my seat and I can stand in front of you, and then the sight of you getting more and more anxious. I can see you now. You're all closed.
Yeah. I'm tense. I'm not breathing.
I want a clear view so I can enjoy it. I am gonna enjoy it until I don't.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that won't happen. No. So the issue is, I know I'm old Eeyore and what have you, and I still very much have to have this battle with old Arsenal.
Well, put it this way: ask me if I think we're going to win the league.
Do you think we're going to win the league?
Nope. not a chance. I can't. My brain just won't accept it.
Well, no, because there's two. I mean, I'm even looking at Everton away as that's going to be their first game with a new manager, and it's going to be a new manager bounce, and we'll have Saka and Saliba and Gabriel all yellow carded against Man United. So it's
100%.
But City have 2 games before we play again.
Yeah.
Home to Spurs. Now, wouldn't that be just beautiful?
What I love about that game is we can't lose.
Well,
because if City beat Spurs, I'm really not going to be upset. If Spurs beat City, brilliant.
Oh no, I want Spurs to win. No, I want a Spurs win. Obviously,
you want a Spurs win?
Yes. I don't understand it. We've had this. I don't know what the game was. We had this conversation before. Why would you not want Spurs to win? Because it suits us.
Because I remember 2 days ago walking up Tottenham High Road.
No, fair enough. And I, as I said that, I just realised that I have said on this podcast, I have said that I didn't want Man United to win. I knew that from watching the game. I wanted a draw. But having said that, I want Spurs to beat City because Spurs are no threat to us whatsoever, even for top four.
Not after Sunday.
No.
You do know there's half a season left.
No, there's over half a season left. Absolutely. Yeah. And we've got to go to Liverpool. We've got to go to Newcastle. We've got to go to Man City. We've got to play City at home. We've got to play United at home. We've got to play Chelsea at home.
But we've done all right so far.
No. We've played 7 London derbies, 4 away, 3 at home, won them all, not conceded a goal away from home in a London derby, which is impressive. We're not top of the Big 7 table. We're 1 point behind Man United with the game in hand. So we could go top of the Big 7 table. Yeah, we have just posted the 5th best first 18 games to a season ever.
Yeah.
But absolutely, you're asking me, do I want City to get anything out of Spurs? No. I want Kane to smash the Greaves record. I want him to fall over in the penalty box and get 2 penalties. It's like absolutely because it suits Arsenal. With United winning or against City, I was worried about them getting a bit close as well because I knew a win against City for United puts them one point behind City, and they're on form. I don't think they're as good a team as Man City, but they're on form. We're not as good a team as Man City, but we're on form. If you look at the names on the team sheet, we're playing better than Man City at the moment. But I mean that can all change. The odd injury here and there. We can't play Saka and Martinelli every bloody game. I think Martinelli suffered a little bit actually on Sunday. I'm glad we've had like a 6-day break. And I'm delighted Man United go. I think that's a tricky game for United on Wednesday tomorrow. Palace away. I think that's a potential banana skin for them there. Palace have some dangerous players, so hopefully.
I'm not sure. I don't necessarily see a comfortable United win, but I do see a United win.
But so I'm like fingers crossed that Palace can get something out of United tomorrow night, and fingers crossed that Spurs can get something out of City, because City then play at home to Wolves on Sunday as well, so they could be 2 points behind us when we kick off. All right, we'll have 2 games in hand on them, but
still,
you don't want them to be 2 points.
You want cushion, don't you?
Yeah, so I don't know. If you offered me a draw, if I offered you a draw now on Sunday, would you take it?
I don't know. We don't really do draws.
No, which is good because they cost.
We only
you
really do wins. So.
So you're saying no, you wouldn't take.
Do you know what? I just want to go. I just want the atmosphere. The atmosphere is so good at the minute. I'm just looking forward to the atmosphere. The game will be what will be. And as I always say, I just don't want outside influences. That was always the fear at Tottenham, was that it would be decisions, it would be injustice, it would be something beyond our control that would do for us. And it turned out just not to go that way. So I want exactly the same against United. Look, if United beat us, United beat us.
Now, United are going to play in a very similar way, probably, to Spurs.
They'll sit back and try and hit the counter, yeah.
It'd be interesting what team they put out, because my Man United mate, he says that some of their players are starting to look a little bit tired because they're playing quite.
Martial does not look fit.
He came off at half time.
Yeah.
Rashford picked up a knock, and Casemiro and Fred are on 4 yellow cards. So if either of those Casemiro would be the great one. If he picked up a yellow card against Palace,
I was sort of hoping that Casemiro wouldn't really work out at United.
He kind of is. They love him.
He's just quality, isn't he?
Yeah.
God, yeah. He just bosses midfield.
You don't win what he has at Real Madrid without having something about you, I guess.
And to me, he's Brazilian. He's won big trophies, and he just reminds me of Gilberto Silva a little bit. He does all that dirty work. There's no real fuss to his play, but without it, your team is just so much more vulnerable. He's quality. Yeah.
And Rashford obviously is on a rich vein of form as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because he's been playing wide. So if Martial's out and he is fit to play, he'll play.
Well, they'll play the 6'6" guy, won't they? They'll play the big guys.
I forgot about Weghorst.
Yeah, they'll play him, and
he's had such a trajectory. Because do you remember when obviously football was cancelled for the pandemic, and when it came back, the first league to start was the Bundesliga. Because Germany rolled out their vaccine program nice and quickly, and they started to bring football back. Well, because we were so starved of football, I chose a German team to follow in those first sort of few weeks or whatever, and I chose Wolfsburg, and Weghorst was up front for them, and he was shit. they played some fairly nice stuff, but he seemed fairly sort of bang average. But then, a move to Burnley didn't quite work out. And then he was on loan at Besiktas, I think.
Yeah, and he's done well there.
But playing for Holland is just a completely different beast. So a bit like Nketiah, with the players around him being up a level, maybe he will up a level. And
Gabriel, who has been superb this season, will obviously be kind of earmarked for him if he does play or come on, because he can cope with him physically. I mean, I'm sure Saliba can as well, to be fair. But if Rashford plays wide left, then Ben White, that'd be quite an interesting matchup there. Yeah. But they've got players that can harm us. And
Fernandes himself. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I want Rashford with a temporary injury that knocks him out for a game, maybe. Fernandes can have an injury that knocks him out for a bit longer, if that's okay. Casemiro picks up his fifth yellow card, and then we'll, then I still might be confident, obviously. But amazingly, Saka and Saliba played quite a few games now on 4 yellow cards, so they've done well. I mean, they still need to do it for one more game.
Is that the United game is the last game for us?
Yes, halfway, 19, and then it goes up to. I thought it was 8 yellow cards, but apparently it's 10 yellow cards by game 32.
Okay,
I think. So we've done really well. I mean. We have got 4 players on it, 4 yellows, but Gabriel Jesus is one of those. So he's obviously he picks up his 4 yellow cards pretty quickly. He'd have had a suspension by now for sure. So right, that's Spurs. We have to talk about Mudryk.
Do we?
Yeah, because I find this interesting.
Okay.
He's only posted one thing on social media since he signed for Chelsea, and that was saying goodbye to and how he'll miss his old teammates at Shakhtar. Before his move, he was flirting with Arsenal quite blatantly. He doesn't look particularly happy. And that's reflected in that how easy to post on social media, but. His post was draped in the Ukrainian flag, which he walked out on the pitch at Stamford Bridge with as well, which is quite interesting. He might well have done that at Arsenal as well. I don't know, but
but in the Abramovich arena.
Well, I mean, who's funded this anyway?
They reckon 25 million is going towards.
Well, 25 million euros. They've announced that, and so this is what I think. I think that's how he's been talked into it.
You think he's a pawn in the game?
Yes, absolutely.
Geopolitics?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think that's how he's young, he's impressionable, he's patriotic. His country's being destroyed by an invading force, and his chairman's turned around to him and said, "Look, if you go to Chelsea, the way because they've given us loads of money up front, we'll be able to give 22, 25 million pounds to the front line. And he's I mean, that's he's not exactly a victim. He's got a 7.5 year plus a year extra, an 8.5 year contract on probably double the wage we would have paid him. So he's going to do all right out of it. But I think, you know, if the truth will out at any point, it'll be something along those lines. And I feel for him, and I would have loved him at Arsenal, because I think everything I was really surprised that he agreed to go, and that as more things have come out, he did when he posted the tweet about the missing his mates, he had the Ukrainian flag, and the tag or the label or the heading of the post was Ukraine first. And I just wonder, like, is that him kind of hinting at why he's moved? And because why would you go? Chelsea Graham Potter's pleading with the board of Chelsea not to sign any more players. We could go and pick up Raheem Sterling for about 20 million quid now.
Would you will him?
No.
No, I'm not sure I would.
No, but that's where they're at, because they've got like 30 senior players. How many do you have? That's too many, like by 4 for the Premier League squad.
Yeah.
So there's 4 of those first team not going to make the Premier League squad. Yeah. And they're still like looking at another player. There's another Dutch player or someone that they're looking at. The academy, there's reports coming out that the Chelsea academy are like in horror watching this, because now there's no route to the first team, because this spending is even out Abramovich.
Well, if you're the likes of Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Conor Gallagher, you know, this is Conor Gallagher who was knocking on the England door not so long ago. You're going to be thinking, well, I might go. Well,
I mean, so Matt Law, who's a Villa fan journalist, I don't know if you follow him, but he talks about Chelsea. They got 13 attacking players.
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
And by attacking players, Sterling, obviously, you know, if you look at a front three as an attacking player rather than just your old traditional striker. Yeah. So you got 13 into 3, maybe 4 places. I mean, okay, they've got a bit of an injury thing at the moment, but you're not going to keep that. Graham Potter is potentially out of his depth anyway, but more so at a club. He's not going to get time. How is he going to manage those egos? So I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see when Mudryk starts playing, but you know, I hope he is happy. But
I was surprised how quickly I was okay with it. Don't get me wrong. I would love us to add to the squad, and he does look like an exciting prospect. But I don't know. There were also lots of.
Well, it's an insane amount of money to pay for someone who's played 35 games.
Who's very inexperienced. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Loads of potential, but there's no guarantee.
The thing is that the annoying thing is now is that other clubs know how much we've got, and so all of a sudden, Rafinha, Barcelona, who has had a miserable time there in quote inverted commas, all of a sudden it's now 85 million pound now. That's how much you'd have to pay Barcelona to get him. So it's someone posted, I think it was Gunner Blog actually. I think there were a couple of different people posted it along the lines of what you said, like the plan B. We've missed out on players. Vlahovic we missed out on. We got Jesus. Lisandro Martinez we missed out on when the price went too high. We got Zinchenko. There were 2 more on that list, and I can't remember. David Raya, the Brentford goalkeeper, we missed out on. We got Ramsdale, and there was someone else as well. There were 4 players on that list,
and we got Ben White.
Who did we lose out on?
I don't know.
So it was the way that the tweet was kind of presented was like, look, we've missed out on these players, and these are the players we got, and like we wouldn't. Jesus was far better suited to us than Vlahovic, who's kind of bombed in Italy. Zinchenko, there's not one Arsenal, as good as much as United fans might like Lisandro Martinez, there's not one Arsenal fan who would swap Zinchenko for him now. Ramsdale, I mean, you talk about Alisson and Van Dijk at Liverpool making all the difference. Yeah. Well, I think Ramsdale has had a transformative impact on our team. The upgrade on, I mean, look, old Martinez, the Villa keeper, lovely chap. But he was, he's a very good goalkeeper, but his attitude was, Ramsdale and him are both wind-up merchants, but Ramsdale will do it with a smile on his face. And that's infectious, and that energy, and that it's all positive. It feeds into the broader atmosphere as well.
My only worry with it is that Plan B doesn't always come at the
straight away. Yeah.
So we will not have a better chance to win the league. It could be for another decade or more. So to reinforce now would be the sensible and the logical thing to do. So I think there's also a balance to be had. I know Edu and Arteta have spoken about how we only really want to buy players if they do take us up to a certain level.
Yeah, but Arteta has, for the last number of weeks, every press conference, we need bodies.
Yeah. He's
been pretty, and he's earned it.
The issue is, like you say, is twofold. In terms of getting players in, clubs know how much money we could spend if need be. So we're now adding a premium because they know we're in a position where we need to buy rather than can afford to wait. And also, you're talking to players and saying, come join us, help us do whatever it is that we want to achieve. However, I can't guarantee you'll start because the 11 is so locked in.
That was one of the things that someone said, that Chelsea offered or guaranteed Mudryk, a guaranteed starter.
But how can you guarantee? I just don't.
That's
so undermining to Potter about what he might be trying to do and what he might be trying to achieve. For a 22-year-old kid to come in and immediately jump ahead of Sterling, Ziyech, Havertz, Aubameyang, Pulisic. I just don't get it.
There's another one as well.
Oh, I'm sure I've forgotten about those. I mean, technically, Lukaku is still a Chelsea player.
Yes, I was surprised by that.
Tamori Bakayoko is still a Chelsea player. Exactly. I can tell by your face. Exactly.
I wonder if we'd lost Mudryk before João Felix, would we have paid the money for João Felix loan?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't have bothered me. However, did you watch the Chelsea-Fulham game where he got sent off?
It does. And that tweet that someone put out and I nicked shamelessly was probably the highlight of my year so far. João Felix.
João Felix. But he was their best player.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
He actually looked really good.
But so there's lots of names. I mean, this Declan Rice nonsense. Because
I think that is a very interesting move by the club.
Yeah.
But I think it's because we know we're not going to get him now. Because if we were to buy him now, we would have to pay 80.
Well, West Ham won't sell him.
Exactly, because West Ham know they need him. They're in a relegation scrap. They need to secure their Premier League. However, I think in the summer, all bets are off. So if we can just flutter our eyelids at him a little bit, and just pay him a couple of compliments.
But won't Chelsea just come in and say, here's £500 million to West Ham, here's a 32-year contract, and I'll pay you £2 million a week?
He said very clearly,
Champions
League. If they're not in Europe next year, in any way, and it could be that they miss out on Europe altogether, he could go to any of the others.
Is he that good?
I took a while to warm to him, but yes, I think he is. I think at this very current moment, it's difficult for him because he's in a team which is struggling, but also I think he's fatigued. I think his form is a
Okay, so who does he replace? Is he Partey or Xhaka?
Well, I think he would be. He could be either. I think he could be either. I think it's how you want to utilize him. He would need to pin it down a bit in the same way that Xhaka, now he's fixed as that more forward-thinking number 8, has thrived. You just need to, tell Xhaka, tell Rice to do that. Probably more Xhaka, I think.
And he's not a January signing for lots of reasons. We don't need him.
I don't think January at all.
But we do need someone.
Yeah.
There's lots of talk about Moussa Diaby.
But Leverkusen now want 100 million for him.
Yeah, well, that's because of Chelsea. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'd be quite happy for us to dip into the loans market for even loan, like pay a premium and loan Rafinha for 5 months. Because I don't think he wants to leave Barcelona. To be fair, you want to give it long. You want to give it longer than 6 months, don't you? Unless you're Aubameyang. But
who's stuck at Chelsea?
Yes, because he can't go anywhere. But who knew that? Who could have foresaw that, eh? And I know we've had this conversation before, but I would take Zaha. I really would. He's the only name that gets floated. And I don't know enough about the other names that have been floated about at all, but he's the only name that would make me feel, that would get me past the Mudryk, missing out on Mudryk, because I was banging on about Mudryk for a long time.
The problem with Zaha, wrong age, and
no, but it's a short term. It's for now. We've got enough of the. We've got enough of that.
That's the problem. If Palace need him, probably slightly more than we want him. So if Palace are going to lose him, they want to be recompensed to a high value.
Well, he's out of contracts in the summer.
Fine, but we don't need him in the summer. We need him now. So they're going to charge. They could charge 30 million for him, and we're not going to pay 30 million for a 31-year-old who we would probably legitimately only give a 2-year contract to. So it's not going to happen for Zaha. No way. No how. I'd be more interested in looking at a couple of their other good players who are playing well, like Eze or Elisa.
Well, we used to have him. We used to have Eze on our as a, but he's actually a lot older than I thought. He's at 26 or something like that. I thought he was much younger.
But there's still more. There's more potential.
Well, okay. What about Trossard?
Yeah, I just worry about his attitude, because he's shown his colours now. Because he was playing well, and I know he was Potter's man and deserved his come in, but I just and again, I would just a red flag.
He's out of contract in the summer as well, and someone said that I read somewhere that Brighton want, if they want to sell him now, they want 25 million for him, and they're not exactly missing him either. He's not a player that would have excited me, but he's he's certainly a decent squad player and experienced and hit the ground running. There's no even with João Felix, you're thinking, well, maybe there's a bit of a settling in period. Well, there obviously is, because he's had a brain fart and he's got himself sent off in his first game, and that wasn't even a particularly. Where was that? Was that Fulham away?
Fulham.
Yeah. So not exactly the most robust of teams, Fulham. So he's going to get a lot. Now people know he's got a bit of a fuse. They're going to. So even with someone as costly and experienced and expensive as João Felix, there's an adjustment period. Whereas Trossard doesn't. He's ready. He's fit to go right now, and I don't think he starts instead of Saka or Martinelli. But I think he's a very good player to come off the bench, or if one of them got injured. Because I was pleased to see Martinelli come off with 12 minutes to go on Sunday, because I think he needs a bit of a rest. His game is very explosive, and I think that will inevitably, I don't want to see him playing in the FA Cup match at Man City, but he probably will.
Well, they're getting a week in between games at the minute. The issue for me is when Europa League starts. So whoever you're looking to get in, the conversation has to be, look, our league form is with this set of players, but we've still got a Europa League run to, try and find our way through. So there you go.
Because it looks like Cedric's going to go, and we've been linked with this 18-year-old right back from Spain. Is it Fernandez or someone? What's his name?
Fresneda.
Yeah, and that's an odd one because we've got this Brooks Norton Cuffley fella who's out on loan, and he looks the business at right back. So I'm not sure why we'd go and pick up an 18-year-old now, unless he's not really a right back. He's, you could earmark him as a Saka player. Yeah. Because don't forget, Arteta took a left back and created a right winger in Saka. Eventually, he went there in stages, but that was his trajectory. But we have to sign someone though. But we said this time last year.
Yes, we did.
The stakes are a lot higher now, though.
A lot higher.
Because,
but at the same time, we'll see. I think the club are intent, and even if it does go down to the end of the month, I think they will. I'm sure there'll be one or two players where they know what the price is, and they will just have to bite the bullet and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
To torture a gun metaphor, and just go for it. Whether it's like last time, 40 million would have got Tielemans in the summer, kind of thing.
30 million would have got Mudryk in the summer.
Well, but this is it. Yeah, but look, there's always going to be.
Do you know what happened there, though? Do you know what happened there? That was El Neni got injured, and all of a sudden they shifted to Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
We need. I mean, obviously, we don't know when Jesus is coming back.
Well, Smith Rowe's going to be building up his performance and minutes and fitness. Yeah. Gabriel Jesus, the rumours are 4 or 5 weeks?
End of February, I've heard, but I don't know. I think that's I think we'll be very lucky if we see him by then.
A kid at school today. A lot of people, funnily enough, this week at school are talking to me about the football. Obviously, one kid said about Jesus should be expected back around Easter time, which I thought was quite funny, quite quick-witted for an 11-year-old. Yep, well done.
Yeah. That was a long 3 days. That was.
Oh yeah, we've just got to we've got to bolster that squad a little bit more. It's the one thing. Daniel Taylor, who's a journalist I quite like. He was saying, because someone asked him. This is the first time the bookies have had us favourites since it started. And he says, yeah. And he said, if it was any other team, I would believe you. But I've still got my memory. He said, the problem is with saying you think Arsenal might win the league is because they haven't. In a generation, they haven't won the league. Therefore, you can't see it happening until it does.
Everyone's expecting City to go on a run.
Yeah, City, 15 games, bosh.
Yeah, which is why I want them to drop as many points whilst they're not on a run, which is why I want Spurs winning there.
And therefore, we've got to burst United's bubble as well.
Well, yeah, Gary Neville, unsurprisingly, he says that he still believes that City will win the league and Man United will finish second.
I think I probably do as well. But only because I'm still in that frame of mind, like last season, where I'm expecting that glut of poor results to come. It hasn't yet, and I'm still walking on air at the fact that we are where we are.
But look, we've gone. I guess this Man United game is different because this is the first time we're meeting a Big Six team on form, on a comparable run of form as us. If you think about when we played all the others,
Newcastle might be the closest.
Yeah, but that's why I said Big Six.
But it was post Christmas as well. Everyone was still, finding their feet after the World Cup.
Yeah,
and they're not big six.
And they're not big six. They're not big seven. There will be big seven in the summer. In next season,
Absolutely.
they will be big seven. But look, when we went to Chelsea and dominated, we won 1-0, but we dominated. But Chelsea are a bit of a basket case this season, although they weren't as bad then as they are now. They had what I think they, we played Liverpool at home, and Liverpool had started this inconsistency they'd been on, so they were not the Liverpool that we knew from last year.
That game could have gone either way, though. That was a bit.
Yes, no, absolutely. Man United away, I thought we let them off the hook. We played well. We got undone by a VAR decision, but we didn't deserve to lose 3-1. No way. And Spurs at home, Spurs away. They're not. So United. This game against United on Sunday is the first time we've come up against a Big Six team. But what I loved about a couple of the Arsenal players, quotes from since Sunday, is that they're looking for revenge because they know they didn't deserve to lose the first game 3-1.
That can go one of two ways.
No, it's good because they said the same thing about Spurs from last season. That's you want that painful reminder. And I think the way we lost out in the Champions League last year is one of the real motivating, driving forces behind us this year. They seem absolutely driven.
Do you know what you've just done?
What?
You've just talked positively about the United game on Sunday.
How? When? I didn't. How did I do?
You did.
When?
You said it's going to be good that they're carrying that kind of,
Yes, I didn't say it's going to be successful.
But I'm saying you talked positively.
Yeah. No. How can I not? How can I not? I am absolutely positive about how we're playing and so on. But what we've done every time is put out a performance that I could only have dreamed about. Not that I expected. Same on Sunday.
Yeah,
just gone. The Newcastle home game was a disappointing one because the Eddie, and that was the other Eddie chance I wanted to mention. That chance right near the end, it was a half. Just a clinical striker might have. And I thought that would have been like worth its weight in gold. That we'd have a 10-point lead now. But anyway, listen, it's 57 minutes and this needs to be under an hour. So, what's your prediction for Sunday?
Well, you're going to have a heart attack, and I always predict.
Right, okay.
I always predict 1-1.
1-1. I thought I was going to have a heart attack because you were going to predict an Arsenal win.
Oh God, no.
1-1.
No, you're going to have a heart attack because you're just going to do.
So you're predicting 1-1, but you won't take a draw now if I offered it to you.
I didn't. I remained very aloof when you asked that question.
If I offered you a draw now, would you take it?
Put it this way: a friend of mine who was at the game on Sunday, messages were going around before the game, and basically when Man City lost to United, he messaged the group and said, "We get 4 points against Spurs and United. It's on." That's what he said. That's what he said.
Okay.
So if we get a point against United or better,
well,
apparently,
if you offer me a draw now against United, I'm not taking it. So there you go. Because
you win or bust.
Because I'm backing my team now. I think we're good. I would be a bag of nerves on Sunday, and I will not enjoy the game at all until the final whistle. I've been burned and scarred by that team far too many times down the years.
Our club goal of the season last season.
Yeah, but even that game could have gone either way as well. It was
totally.
So anyway, listen, we're just about into the last minute. So I'll see you on Sunday.
We are top of the league.
Say we are top of the league, indeed. Right, here we go.